powering the future of AI? Well, here is what it looks like. 1 gigawatt is about the same output as a commercial nuclear reactor, enough to power about 1 million homes, right? And between today's deal with AMD and another agreement with NVIDIA, OpenAI's planned infrastructure is going to use 16 gigawatts. That is enough to power the combined total of New York City, Chicago, and Los Angeles. And as Brian pointed out, there are a lot of concerns about energy use, who pays for it, how it's being generated. Our next guest sees this as a major opportunity for local economies. Take a look.
I want to be careful to not buy into this narrative that data centers are going to just put all this burden on the community. We think from a tax perspective and a unit cost reduction, this may actually be one of the best economic opportunities the state has had in decades.
And joining us now is the mayor of San Jose, Matt Mahan. Mayor, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us. For people that are worried that AI data centers are going to drive up their energy bills, they're going to be using way too many finite resources, water, what do you say?
Well, Gadi, it's good to be with you, and thanks for the important question. Everybody's asking it these days. We're actually adding 2 gigawatts of new capacity here in San Jose, the capital of Silicon Valley. And with growth, you can invest in innovation. We're using that new energy coming online to make power purchasing agreements where we're actually investing in solar, wind, battery backups. The growth is actually enabling us to make long-term investments that have San Jose with the cleanest power mix of any city in the country. So we think that with growth, you can invest in innovation, clean energy, storage, and then critically important, with scale, with economies of scale, you can actually bring down the per unit cost, the kilowatt hour cost for everybody, which means for your average homeowner who's not using more power, in fact, their appliances may be getting more efficient, they'll actually face a lower per kilowatt cost because other large load customers are actually driving those efficiencies in terms of the cost of operating the overall grid. So we think it can be a big win.
In terms of scale, though, I mean, there are those that see the speed in which a lot of this scaling up is happening and say, look, this is the part where it's a slippery slope and there needs to be a little bit of a slowdown. Do you see that at all? Is there any part of the scaling plans that concern you?
Well, we see it differently for a few reasons. One is, if anything, in California, we have seen a leveling off in growth, and we want to actually harness this AI revolution to drive investments in the jobs of the future. We think advanced manufacturing should be here, not just overseas. We want to be a city and a country that still makes things. In fact, San Jose is pretty unique in having nearly 20% of our jobs in manufacturing, but those jobs are at risk of being offshored if we don't continue to advance. I mentioned that with growth, we can invest in innovation and newer, cleaner energy systems. We're seeing around water use. These data centers are getting incredibly more sophisticated. They're using air cooling instead of water cooling in some cases. So we think the growth can be a really good thing, but we have to ensure shared prosperity. One of the undertold stories is that each of these data centers adds millions of dollars a year in new revenue for localities, for cities like San Jose, that can put that money into better schools, longer library hours, public safety, better roads and parks. And really, with that growth, we actually have a new source of revenue to invest back in our city and make city services better for everybody.
I mean, we're running out of time here, but I do want to ask, with all of the compute that's happening in those data centers, what is your city using to use AI for city services?
Well, that's a great question, because we see this as more than just economic development and tax-based growth. I want to reinvent government using AI. Government's one of the few places where we have not seen productivity gains for years, while the private sector has raced ahead. So we're using AI to do early detection of potholes, graffiti, streetlights that are out, dumping on the side of the road, and we're deploying city teams faster and more efficiently. We're leading the nation in speeding up bus routes. We think this can be used for so many different civic applications to make our city faster, more efficient, more responsive.
I can't wait. I'm coming out to see how you use AI with potholes. Mayor Mahan, thank you so much for joining us.